This is a Fox News alert. Some illegal immigrants at the Texas border are now being allowed to board commercial flights with no ID. KFOX reporter Bill Melugin is live at the border in El Paso, Texas. Bill.
Hey, Greta, yeah, brand new information coming into us today. Just like you said, we're getting reports of illegal immigrants showing up to the El Paso International Airport, buying plane tickets and boarding airplanes without ever having to provide any type of photo ID. Now, if you're asking how the heck does that happen, this information is coming to us straight from the El Paso Border Patrol Union. They're telling us their agents are reporting seeing illegal immigrants providing TSA agents with only their I-862 documents. That's also known as their notice to appear in court documents, as their official ID. Now, they're telling us that the problem with this is that these documents don't have any type of photo ID on them or any type of biometric information which can prove who these people say who they are, and that there's also another security aspect, as these documents don't have any types of official watermarks on them. They can be easily manipulated or easily reproduced. So he's worried that these illegal immigrants are just going to start walking into airports and start flying across the country without having to show any type of ID like the rest of us legal citizens have to. Now, the mood here in El Paso, it's very split. You got one side of the aisle saying it's a humanitarian aspect, we should take care of these people. The other side of the aisle saying that the United States has plenty of its own problems. We can't even take care of our own veterans. We got to deport these people immediately. Greta? You
know, Bill, the issue, though, when they get on the planes is who's going to pay the money for them to come back from the notice to appear. I don't think people think they're really coming back on the notice to appear, but at least if these were not commercial flights but some sort of government program or government facility, we'd have some sort of control over the situation. They're just going off any place, right?
As far as we know, it was just confirmed that it is happening here in El Paso. We also know from other news reports around the state of Texas that it has been taking place in Laredo as well. This is all confirmed to us by the National Border Patrol Council. They are the union that represents all the Border Patrol agents. So that information is coming directly from their mouths, from what they're seeing in the field with their agents at these airports.
Bill, thank you. Is a dangerous health threat at an immigrant detention facility at our border, highly contagious disease. KFOX reporter Bill Melugin live at the border with the very latest. Bill.
Hey, Greta, yeah, we are talking about a confirmed case of the chicken pox that's putting a halt to all deportations and all arrivals at a brand new detention facility over in Artesia, New Mexico. That's about a 4-hour drive away from El Paso. This place literally just opened up about a month ago. A few weeks back, we got a chance to drive out there, take a look at it, take some video of the facility. It holds up to about 700 immigrants. It's a mix of adults and children. Now, ICE confirmed to me earlier this morning that at least one person in that shelter has a case of the chicken pox. Now, they're saying that person has been isolated. They do not feel it's a threat to the public, and that they're doing everything in their power to make sure it doesn't spread throughout the rest of the facility. However, I did talk to the public health director here for the city of El Paso, and he's not buying it. He thinks there is a very high chance of it spreading throughout the rest of the shelter, and he gave me a few reasons why. Number one, he says you can actually spread chicken pox 2 days before you even start showing any types of symptoms. So what that means is that when these ICE agents give medical screenings to these immigrants as they come into the shelters, they may not have any clue whatsoever that they could be infected with the chicken pox. Number two, he said in a closed environment like a shelter, chicken pox is one of the most contagious viruses out there. He says it's airborne, it can be through skin-to-skin contact, and he also pointed out something interesting. Most of us get chicken pox when we're kids. It's fairly mild, but if you get it as an adult, it can be very, especially if you get it for a second time. That's when it can turn into shingles. That's when you get a real nasty rash somewhere on your torso. It's very painful, very severe, and that's one of the reasons why ICE is halting all deportations, all arrivals at this facility. Greta?
Bill, in terms of any other health issues besides chicken pox with these children?
At that facility in particular, all we're hearing is chicken pox. We know at different facilities across the Southwest, there have been reports of scabies, lice, those sorts of things. But at that facility in particular, right now, we're just hearing at least one case of chicken pox.
All right, good. Let's just keep it at one. Let's hope that there's no more and that everything is under control. Yeah. Thank you, Bill.
Well, this is where that home invasion took place, but according to the autopsy report, Sal Garces was killed somewhere in this area, which is about 100 feet further up the street from the home. Now, Garces' mom says that's proof that her son was killed in cold blood, but Joe Torres has maintained a self-defense argument this whole time. Check out what else the family found when they came outside. This is the family's vehicle. Some of the stray bullets hit it. Take a look at some of the glass right here on the ground. You can see it completely blew out the window. Here's one of the bullet holes in the car right here. We got another one up in the headrest right here. University Medical Center and El Paso Children's Hospital say they are working together to try and solve the financial problems facing the Children's Hospital. When we think about illegal immigration, typically we start picturing people trying to somehow climb over the border fence, dig underneath it, or somehow get smuggled into the country. But a Border Patrol agent I spoke with today tells me that's not what's happening here. Some veterans in El Paso say they're finally getting assistance they need when it comes to medical care services at the VA. I've been in contact with the vice president of the union that represents every single Border Patrol agent in the entire country, and just last week he told me his agents at the Laredo airport and the airport right here in El Paso have witnessed illegal immigrants literally just being walked right past security.
The crash of an Air Force plane more than 60 years ago took the lives of 9 service members, and its legend still reverberates in our community.
A B-36 bomber crashed on the slopes of the Franklin Mountains in 1953, killing all aboard. Today, for the first time, families of some of the fallen hiked to the crash site where debris remains to this day. KFOX 14 News at 9's Bill Melugin has their emotional story, which you'll see only on KFOX 14.
Yeah, this happened in the middle of the Korean War. A B-36 was on its way from Fort Worth to Biggs Army Airfield at Fort Bliss when it went down in a snowstorm and slammed into the west side of the Franklin Mountains. The plane was supposed to hold 16 people, but only 9 were on board that day, and tragically, nobody survived. Jeff Morford was just a young boy when he lost his father in the crash.
And my mother tried to shield us from it, so I don't know a whole lot about it.
His dad was Major George C. Morford, the co-pilot of the B-36.
I miss him dearly.
This is believed to be the only known photograph of the B-36 Jeff's father was flying just before it went down in a snowstorm on the Franklin Mountains. The crash left a black burn scar across the slopes, a dark reminder of the tragedy that took place there. That snowy day was December 11th, 1953. Today, more than 60 years later, Jeff came out from Pennsylvania to make the 2-hour hike to the crash site for the very first time.
I thank every one of you for coming up.
Pieces of the bomber still litter the mountain to this day. A landing gear, part of the engine, molten aluminum. And it wouldn't have been found without the help of Luz West. She was hiking in the area when she came across the site.
And I see those pieces. I think it's what I'm looking at.
She told her son about it. He did a little bit of research and told her what had happened there more than a half-century ago.
When I walk around and the ashes are still there until today, and it's amazing thing what happened here, you know, but in 1953.
She placed a cross at the site and made it her mission to bring the families here. And today, it finally happened.
Thank you. I love you guys.
Me too.
Luz hikes to the scene on any military holiday to honor the fallen, all by herself.
You alone made it possible for these 9 fallen U.S. Air Force crewmen to be honored and forever remembered. Thank you, and God bless you, dearest Luz.
Thank you.
And for Jeff, a hidden surprise at the crash site, found by his friends on a previous hike.
Jeff, if you'll reach down there, there's something that you might be interested in.
Oh my gosh.
A small pocket knife with a big meaning, as it could have belonged to his father.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank everybody.
Now, the final accident investigation report attributed pilot error and unfamiliarity with El Paso's terrain as the main reason for the crash. Now, according to local historians, had the bomber not crashed, the crew was planning to enjoy a night out in Ciudad Juarez later that evening. Reporting live in the studio, Bill Melugin, KFOX 14 News at 9. Yeah, so these are the legal invoices that Isleta ISD says I should have never gotten my hands on. They feel they contain privileged information not meant for public disclosure. Because of that, they've hired an outside investigator at a rate of $75 an hour to try to figure out exactly who gave me this paperwork. And it's what's in these invoices that has one Isleta trustee questioning the other board members. Texas House Bill 343 says starting next year, school board members in El Paso County must file a financial statement, and if they don't, they can face a misdemeanor charge. According to this legal invoice, some Isleta board members want nothing to do with the new law. It shows in September of last year alone, the board spent around $7,500 to consult with an attorney on how to fight back against it. The attorney's rate, $225 per hour.
In my opinion, the entire subject has been a little upsetting. These are public funds going to pay for attorneys. Isleta trustee Shane Haggerty helped push a 4-3 vote in April to end use of district money for the trustees' personal goals. He said he told the board members, if you want to fight the law, use your own money and stop taking funds out of the classroom. But the money should have gone to the kids, 100%. The money needs to go to the kids because this is a law, and this isn't something that affects the students, it isn't something that affects the teachers, this is something that only affects school board members. The invoices show the YISD board was spending money to request an attorney general opinion on the law, and that some board members were even receiving legal advice on what the latest date they could resign would be in order to dodge turning in a financial statement. Why anyone wouldn't want to fill out their financial disclosures, I couldn't tell you. I have no issue with anybody looking at my documents once I file mine. But Isleta ISD Superintendent Xavier De La Torre says in no way are trustees trying to evade transparency. All 7 of the trustees aren't the type of people that skirt their responsibilities or dodge anything. I think they're principled, and so if something happens to be counter to their principles, they'll make decisions based on that. When I asked him if those decisions should ring up a tab of taxpayer money, he said he can only speak for his time on the job, and that the trustees have only acted in the best interest of the district. So you don't feel ethically they did anything wrong with the district money? Yeah, I do not, and it couldn't be, and maybe it's because I've been in the district for all of 70 days, and I've not, again, made it a point to go back and look at decisions that predate my tenure.
A Ukrainian woman is detained at the Santa Teresa port of entry and thrown into a maximum security prison. Good evening, I'm John Purvis.
I'm Erica Castillo. First on Fox tonight, this after her whole family fled the Ukraine and her American husband tried to get her into the United States to escape the violence. KFOX 14 News at 9's Bill Melugin sat down with the husband and tells us what he thought would be a simple task based on how Central American immigrants have been allowed in quickly backfired. Bill joins us live in Santa Teresa with the story you'll see only on KFOX.
Yeah, Erica, the man we spoke to just hours ago is legally married to his wife here in El Paso County. She happens to be a Ukrainian citizen. Now, when she fled the Ukraine because of all the violence going on over there, he rented her out a home over in Ciudad Juarez while they processed her paperwork to obtain a U.S. visa. Based on what they've seen from these Central American immigrants seemingly just walking across the U.S. border, they decided to show up here at the Santa Teresa Bridge last Friday to see if she could get into the United States. They showed up here with their marriage license and a binder full of other documents, but things did not go according to plan. Brian Price hasn't seen his wife Alexandra since Sunday night. That's because she's locked up here, maximum security Otero County Prison. He's an American citizen and former U.S. Marine. She's a Ukrainian national, a Cambridge graduate, fluent in 5 languages, and she has no criminal history. Together, they tried to cross into the U.S. from Juarez on Friday at the Santa Teresa port of entry.
We went to the bridge. We were about 20 minutes late. We got there about 6:20, and things started to go wrong very quickly.
Price says they were immediately pulled into a room and questioned by border agents as to why Alexandra didn't finish her U.S. visa paperwork in the Ukraine.
And I said, well, there's a war in her region, you know, that's the reason why we didn't do it. And they started asking us why she just couldn't return. I said, well, there's still battling going on to this day there. And
he says agents decided to detain his wife and took her to an El Paso processing facility, which wasn't unexpected. But that changed when he called the next morning.
They informed me at that point she had been moved to Otero Federal Prison Facility, Otero Unit 1. Well, this is where things started to go very bad.
Price says he was told El Paso facilities were filled to capacity, which is why Alexandra was transferred. Immediately, he drove out to the prison and visited her. She was shackled and chained.
She was already just shaken. When she came in the room, it was crocodile tears. I mean, she was shaking and she was crying. And
that was the last time Price saw his wife. He was told she would only be allowed one visitor per week and would not be allowed to make any calls. It's a situation the couple's immigration attorney has never seen in her career.
This is the first time I've seen a female get taken to Otero, yes. Unfortunately, you know, it is a prison. It's not an ICE detention center. And I think we're starting to see the repercussions of all these people that are coming into the country is things like this. Otero is the overflow.
Price says they were not expecting any type of special treatment, but based on how Central American immigrants had been treated, he knew his wife might be detained. What he didn't know was she would be thrown in prison with murderers and rapists.
I'm shocked as a U.S. veteran and a former Marine that has fought for this country. I'm completely just appalled by this.
Now, the couple's attorney tells me that Alexandra's case will now get referred to an asylum office over in Houston. They will conduct a credible fear interview with her and then determine whether or not she gets to stay in the United States. Now, I reached out to ICE earlier this afternoon to ask why a woman with no criminal background was thrown into a maximum security prison when these Central American immigrants have seemingly been doing the same thing that she did. I was told they couldn't give me any answers until they received a signed privacy waiver form from her. Now, I was just informed that we just got that document dropped off to the station about 20 minutes ago, so I'm going to send that off to ICE tonight and hopefully have some answers from them tomorrow morning. Reporting live at the Santa Teresa Port of Entry, Bill Melugin, KFOX-14, News at 9. They've banned Luis Suarez for 9 games in 4 months. Strictly because of biting those players. So that's an interesting story that'll play out for the rest of this day as everybody waits to watch the Americans take on Germany in a couple hours. But that's going to do it for the KFOX 14 Morning News. I'm Bill Melugin.
And I'm Stephanie Guadian.